Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs and today I have this rainbow Halloween card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So I'm going to create my base for the card to start with. I do have a piece of Hammermill cardstock as well as a piece of black and then my white base cardstock that I use for all of my bases. And I'm cutting the black mat down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, and then I will cut the Hammermill cardstock, which is going to be my panel, down to about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, just to give those kind of thin, nice looking layers. And I'm sorry the camera is going to jiggle a little bit more in this video. I didn't realize my desk wasn't against the wall, so my mount is going to move a little bit more than it normally does. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I try to fix it about halfway through, but for the first little bit when I don't realize this has happened, it does move a little more than normal. So for this card, this is the Gnome Drive Halloween die set. That's what this pumpkin balloon die is from. And I'm going to cut it out 6 times because I had this kind of fun idea to do a rainbow Halloween card. I know that's not a normal color palette for a Halloween card, but you guys know that I tend towards vibrant colors. That's just kind of my preferred color palette. So I figured, why not make a Halloween card? If I can do Christmas cards in that color palette, why can't I do a Halloween card? So that was my thought here. And I did just use this one die for that whole card. You could have brought in other dies. There was a cat. There's, other options in that die set. And I have another idea for that. I wanted to do something a little different, a little more simple, but still kind of really fun. So I kind of chose to just go with these pumpkin balloons and kind of just make it it's a little bit of like a wreath, I guess, with them, as I thought it would be kind of fun. So I had a question for you guys. If you've been with me for a little bit, you know that it's my dream to do creating as a full-time job. And I'm not totally sure how to get there. And I've seen very little growth on my channel lately. And I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts, any ideas on what I could do to, kind of improve that, or if you have any opinions on what you'd maybe like to see more of or less of, or whatever. Give me your thoughts on my channel. I don't want to stop making videos. I love making videos. But if to turn this into a career, I do need my channel to kind of, grow so that, there's more options for money coming in and whatnot. So I would just love your guys' thoughts and opinions. Not that I need to grow quickly overnight. Like, I don't want to be an instant sensation or anything. I want, solid growth that creates a community that, I can visit with and enjoy. Sorry, I said like 6 times right there. Anyway, I'm trying to build this, and sometimes I'm at a loss. So if you guys have any opinions, any thoughts, any anything, I just said I've never realized how often I say until this statement right here. Anyway, back to the card. I cut that out 6 times because the rainbow that I like to use does have 6 colors in it. And then I brought in a nested circle die just to kind of help me lay them out in a really nice circle pattern or like a half wreath pattern. And I just used a pencil to trace around it. And then I'm going to go back and kind of erase some of those lines so that they're not as bright. I don't want you to be able to see them. You can see it just a tiny bit through one of the pumpkin's eyes later, but you'd have to be looking for it to know it was there. Like, if you received the card, you wouldn't know, but it is a little bit there. And then I just kind of laid them out in a way that I thought would look nice. And for my rainbow, I do tend to go pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. You could bring in red if you wanted to. I generally don't. I use pink to replace red just because red is not one of my favorite colors. I associate red to a lot of like stop signs and like that kind of stuff. So I tend to bring in pink instead of red, but you could bring in red and it could have 7 colors and start with red and then have pink and keep going, but I don't bring in red. So for my Distress Oxide inks that I'm going to blend on these little pumpkin heads, and I intentionally leave the center a little bit patchy. I wanted there to be some color variation, so I'm trying to make it darker on the outside and then lighter on the inside. So that's why I'm using blending brushes instead of dome foams, because I have a little more control over the blending brushes than I do the domed foams. If you wanted to do solid color the whole way, dome foams would be the way to go because they lay down a lot more color a lot quicker than the blending brushes do, but I didn't want that. So for my colors, I did picked raspberry, carved pumpkin, squeezed lemonade, twisted citron, broken china, and wilted violet. I go back and forth forth on my blue. Sometimes I use Broken China. Sometimes I use Mermaid Lagoon. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. And today I went with Broken China. No idea why. And then you do see me kind of quickly trying to clean up the mat between the three colors. Orange, pink, and yellow will not make brown. However, when you bring green, purple, and blue in, like yellow and purple will make brown. So I don't want that picking up from my glass mat and creating any kind of that kind of color variation. I don't want brown on my project. If you've been with me for a while, you know that brown is not a color I use very often, just because I don't prefer it. I really lean towards vibrant, colorful colors. That's just kind of my preferred color palette. But yes, if you guys have any thoughts on what I could do to improve my channel, let me know. I mean, that's not just applicable to growth either. If you ever have any comments, concerns, questions, you know, you just want to tell me something, tell me. You can leave it in a comment. I read all of them. Yes, I am behind. I'm pretty much always behind. I try to keep up, but it's hard to juggle sometimes. But I do always enter them eventually. But if you don't want to make it a private, or like if you want to make it more private, I have an email address. You can shoot me a message there. I have a Facebook group. You can shoot me a message there. Like if you ever have any thoughts on a way that I can improve my channel, let me know. Now, with that though, there are some things that I can't change. Like sometimes I talk quickly. I get excited and I do that. I try not to, but I do it. So there are certain things that I don't know that I could change, you know, because they're kind of a personality thing. But with the content of the channel, by all means, if you have any thoughts, let me know, because I would happily, you know, do more of what you guys want to see or less of something you're not enjoying or whatnot. The only thing that I don't think I would get rid of, no matter what, is the vlogs. Though I haven't done one recently, they kind of document the growth and the way that I'm going about my little business. So I kind of like having that, and I want to have those available to me for the future. So it can be like, hey, look, though I might be slowly growing right now, that growth is there, right? So I want that for me personally. So if you don't enjoy them, that's totally okay. But any other thoughts, let me know. And then for a little added interest in texture, I brought in almost the matching distress glazes. I don't own all the exact colors, but I have all of them pretty close. So for the yellow, I actually had to use Wild Honey because I don't have Squeezed Lemonade, but they're see-through. They're transparent, so it doesn't matter, right? They're just going to add shine and texture to my little balloon. I keep wanting to call them skulls. They're pumpkins. My little balloon pumpkins. So I used, these are the colors I actually used. I used Picked Raspberry. Oh, I lied to you. I have, no, I don't. I wrote something down wrong here. I used Picked Raspberry. Sorry, my cats are having a little fight in the background. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Picked Raspberry, Wild Honey for the yellow, and then for Squeezed Lemonade, I didn't use Squeezed Lemonade. I don't know why I keep wanting to tell you that. Wild Honey is on the yellow one. The orange one is still Crushed Pumpkin. So the only color that isn't the exact same color of Oxide is yellow and blue, because for blue I had to use Salty Ocean because I don't believe Broken China exists. And if it does, I don't own it. I'm just slowly collecting my glazes. And then every other one, like Picked Raspberry, Twisted Citron, Wilted Violet, and Carved Pumpkin, they are the glazed colors as well. So yeah, the only two that changed were the blue and the yellow. And honestly, I don't know that you can tell because they're transparent, right? So they're going to go over the yellow and the blue, but they're not going to tint it so drastically that you don't see the bright color of whatever the color was underneath. So I don't bust out my glazes very often. I slowly am collecting them. When a color comes out that I really like, I pick it up, especially rainbow things. You guys know I like my rainbow color palette. So I do tend towards those colors, but I don't use them very often. So when I kind of have an idea in my head that they could lend towards and look kind of neat, I do like to bring them in, which I thought for this card design, they looked really cool. So that's kind of the thought process there. You obviously don't need them. They don't need to be on those pumpkin balloons. You could just leave them blended or add splatters. You could do like little splatters on them or something too. I just chose to do the embossing glaze because I have them and I never use them. So now we're just going to start adhering everything down. I did not add any dimension to this card. It's just the layers of cardstock. I did adhere the black mat here just so that I could have placement for my balloons. And then of course I have them kind of lined up so that I know where my sentiment needs to sit, because I want it to be in the center of that circle wreath part. But otherwise, there's no, like, I didn't add any dimension to this. I kind of thought about it behind the pumpkins and then changed my mind because I didn't want to, like, cut out little pieces to fit behind there. And then I thought about it again for just the panel, because you could just lift this piece up. But I didn't. I just left it kind of the way that I had it here, just for fun. I kind of was going for a very simple card, but one that was very colorful and fun. You know, like, I don't lean towards scary Halloween stuff. You absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my preferred color palette or aesthetic. So I do tend towards the more cute or pretty things. That's kind of where I go for this. And my Nuvo is almost empty. So you can see me hitting it against my glass mat every once in a while. I'm almost finished with this bottle of Nuvo Deluxe glue. So I do tap it against the glass mat a couple of times just to get some glue to come out, because it is so close to being empty. And I really want to use it up so that I can move on to a new bottle. But yeah, so I kind of just played with the placement of my balloons until I was happy with how they went around the circle. And then I just laid them down with a little bit of glue flat. They are a little bit propped up just because they're sitting kind of on top of the other balloon. It did take me a minute to find a layout that worked for all 6 pumpkins because they didn't really want to fit on my panel. So that's why my circle kind of has to go around the whole circumference of the card, really, because they didn't have a lot of room to fit all 6 colors. But I like my panel, or I like my rainbows to have these 6 colors in it. You can always add more, but I hate to pull one out just because this is kind of the color palette I like for this. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just my preferred way to do it. And here, see, I'm still trying to get glue out of that darn bottle. I'm almost done. I've been working on this bottle for a long time, but I jump between this Nuvo Deluxe and Art Glitter Glue, so it takes me a while to actually use a full bottle of glue, which is kind of funny because I make cards a lot. Like, I craft a lot, so it's kind of surprising it takes me so long to go through these things of glue. But yeah, so here you can see I've brought in Art Glitter Glue just to glue down some of these beautiful stars. These are holographic stars. They just add a little something extra. You don't have to have them, although they do kind of fill the area that's a little bit open, so that kind of adds something a little more interesting. And the shimmer and shine is always, you know, fun in my mind. But I think this card turned out beautiful and didn't necessarily need anything else. But the stars just add something a little extra. And then here you can see that texture on each of those pumpkins. Hopefully you can see it in the camera. It's always a little interesting to catch shimmer in the camera sometimes. And then there you can see how stunning those stars are. I just love them. So I bust them out, and whenever I can pull off a star on a card instead of like a pearl or sequin. So that is the card I have for you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new cards every Monday and Thursday, and we are coming up to the 12 weeks of Christmas, so that will happen pretty soon. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.